Hello and welcome back to Video Games. I'm Tim Rogers. You were watching Kotaku.com, and today I am playing Grid, the latest racing game from Codemasters. As you can tell from this title screen, yes, the city of Shanghai does make an appearance in this game. Now, I like Codemasters. I love their name, Codemasters. It's a very 1980s British video game magazine style developer, publisher, studio name. They were saying way back then that they were the masters of code. Now their name has been inextricably superglued to the idea of racing games for the longest time. Way back when they made Micro Machines, if you remember Micro Machines. So they also made plenty of BMX, F1, IndyCar, touring car. They've made all sorts of games. Most notably, in my opinion, the Colin McRae series of rally racing games, which culminated in Colin McRae's Dirt, which is just a beautiful arcade-style rally racing game from way back when. Way back when they made Dirt, they also drifted toward this four-letter game name branding when they released Grid. I believe it was in 2008. I'm going to fact check this later, and I'll put an X up on the screen if I'm wrong. If you see no X's on the screen, that means I was not wrong. I believe the first Grid came out in 2008, and I believe the second Grid came out in 2013, because I remember what I was working on the day I went into GameStop and saw the second Grid. And then there was another game called Grid Autosport, if I'm not mistaken, that came out in 2014. And all this is preamble to the fact that there was 5 years between Grid 1 and 2, and now there's been 5 years between Grid Autosport and the rebranded Grid. Now, I'm going to play this game a bit, and I'm not the best driver in the world, and I'm definitely not the best video game driver. I'm not very good at driving while talking. I'm going to be talking a lot while I'm driving, because otherwise this doesn't really qualify as video content. So I'm going to just apologize up front by saying that what I lack in both driving and talking skills, I more than make up for in trivia. So I just mentioned that Grid and Dirt are both four-letter game titles by Codemasters. And I can think of another one, which is Tilt, which was a puzzle game released on the ZX Spectrum in 1991. Now, I remember that because I was looking down Codemasters' gameography on Wikipedia back when I was working as a sort of we used the phrase marketing producer on the first Dirt game back when I was working at Sony Computer Entertainment Japan. Let's not get into that. There's Michelin visible on the front of that Porsche right there. Who knows the name of the Michelin Man? It's Bibendum. Anyway, let's actually start this game. Beautiful, simple title screen. No nonsense title screen. There's no nonsense on there. Right? There's no nonsense. Just as there is no nonsense in the game itself. You'll see from the very first menu. Career, multiplayer. Free play. Now, I'm going to admit something weird about free play is you have to make an event name, and then you have to choose a thing, and you have to choose, like, all of this stuff. How many people are in your grid? How many rounds you're going to do, right? I kind of just want to do time trials of the tracks, you know? Anyway, we're just going to go to the career mode. I'm going to show you, again, absolute no nonsense. You remember Forza 5 for the PlayStation, for the Xbox One? It had these, like, playlists. It presented them as, like, albums where you start it up and then you get to play through an album of, like, 40 minutes of races, and they're all presented as though you're in some sort of antique furniture showroom, and it's like, here's your next round, and you get Top Gear guys announcing and just speaking you in these documentaries, lifestyles of the rich and car driving, fast and furious nonsense. Whereas here, it's just, here's this big old screen, and here's all the stuff. Here's a big old screen, here's all the stuff. That's all you need to know. I'm going to go ahead and take this GT Group Super Sprint. We're going to restart the event. I think I was in first place in the second round. We're going to take out this Porsche 911 GT4. We're just going to take it out. We're going to try to get you into a race because I've wasted enough of everybody's goddamn time here. And it's time for me to put up and not shut up. And you're going to see I mean, I'm not guaranteeing results here. I'm not. I just think this is a pretty track. And that's, again, Codemasters, as their name indicates, they are maestros of the technicality. We're just going to do a hot lap to qualify. You can press X to do a qualifying lap. Sometimes it behooves you to do that. Immediately starting me out in 4th gear, 5th gear. Get me up. This track sucks. It starts you right out with that disgusting turn. I'm playing with manual transmission. I have the braking lines on, and the camera I have situated behind the car because I'm sorry. I know every comment is going to be like, look at this noob, this scrub playing on goddarn camera behind the car. Like, it makes better video content. I'm sorry. The audience is not hardcore goddarn dirt YouTubers, people who play dirt rally 24 hours a day, 6 days a week, and then sleep 24 hours the 7th day. The audience here is just people who want to look at a racing game. Now, I gotta say, I said this last year with Forza Horizon 4, and I love Forza Horizon 4. I still play it. Still bump in there every now and again. Not as every now and not as every again as I was last year at this time, but I still bump in there. And I said it last year of Forza Horizon 4, and I'm going to say it again of this game. It's these graphics these days, man. These graphics these days. Now, this game is, it is so 4K and it is so HDR. I've actually turned the HDR off. You're seeing it in 1080p if you're watching this video, so you're not seeing what I'm seeing. I'm seeing something truly. I'm shifting like an idiot. I'm seeing this game in all its glory, and it is glorious. It is literally so bright, the HDR popping out of this television set, so bright that I'm literally wearing sunglasses while I'm playing. Always drift over the finish line. Always. Do it sideways. Mishimoto got first. Those other drivers, I believe I got first because everyone else attempting to qualify for that race has previously participated in a lobotomy. We're going to go ahead and continue. Just get me into that race. Just get me in. Come on. Come on and get me in there. Graphics are absolute in this game.
Hello and welcome to
In something like Forza Horizon 4, you're going to have to choose between 4K and 60 FPS. In this game, there is no choice. It's always 4K, always 60 FPS. This has something to do with the fact that it's less ambitious scope-wise. It doesn't take place on a whole huge full island where you race around persistently in an open world real time. It's a racing game. Codemasters are the masters of the code that they have decided to do, not the masters of the code that others have done. They've mastered the code of giving me a racing game. That sun is very bright, and I'm going to tell you what, slick on the asphalt, it is all aglow, like flaming embers. And it actually makes it quite difficult to see the turns. I'm trying to wax prosaically about my incoming deficiencies. It is difficult to talk and drive. I'm sorry. Just take my word for it. If you have any interest in, that was such a close shave there. I love it. If you have any interest in racing games, I think you can't go too wrong with the Codemasters. This game is not Forza Horizon 4. It is also not Gran Turismo. It's somewhere in between. It's in that uncanny valley crevice occupied by games such as Ridge Racer 5 and Project Gotham Racing, where it's arcadey, but it's also crowd-pleasing, and at the same time, you've got a little bit more of a simulationishness than you would have out of your Forza Horizon. But I'm going to say, if you're ever going to play a racing game... I'm leading the race? No, I'm not. Wait, I am leading the race. Okay, never mind. God, oh, no wonder there's nobody else. I should probably suck a little bit more so you can see you can see how interesting the AI is. There's some neat AI stuff going on. If I dare say. I dare say there's some interesting AI stuff. I cannot see the turn because the sun is in my eyes. I love that 4K televisions have invented this this future present that we live in, where a guy like me can wear sunglasses while playing a video game and actually not totally be a jerk for doing so. I'm a jerk for other reasons. I'm a jerk for what I just did to this beautiful German automobile. We got the racing lines on. Again, it makes better television. The audience is people who don't necessarily play a lot of these. Also, I'm just not, I don't have my racing wheels on to this month. See, now right there I should have shifted down. I'm going to say if you're going to play a racing video game that has any modicum of realism to it, you want to play it with manual transmission. You have to jump right in the deep end and play it with the manual transmission on. Because it forces you to pay attention to how fast you can go. It's almost like switching gears switches what kind of a car you're driving. I'm sure a true car head in the audience is gonna hate that description. Well, come at me, bro. If I drop this thing down to 4th gear up here, and then I pop it back into 5th, and go a little bit faster. I'm going slow in there. The wheels are turning differently. There we go. This car really handles really well. I'm not doing it justice. I'm driving like a slow boy. I want you to see all the scenery, that's why. I'm driving very slowly so that you can all see the wonderful detail that's given to these backgrounds, turning them into real living, breathing places. Put it into the little 5th gear there. Boost me up a little bit. Just a beautiful track. The city is celebrating the arrival of the loud roadsters. These dinosaurian vehicles galloping down the streets, flames blazing from their exhaust pipes. We're going to go ahead and kick this down. In racing terms, they usually refer to the final lap as the FR. It's a little insider lingo. No, I mean the FL. I messed up my... Who cares? God. It's so hard to talk. I picked a track that's going to look the best in the VOD, but it's going to be the hardest for me to compete at. I just use the word VOD because that's what a real YouTuber would say. I love cars. I absolutely love cars. I love driving them. I've driven a lot of cars. I have pictures of myself next to a bunch of cars that I tell people I've driven. And really, I might not have. It's all to keep up the enigma. I have, however, driven a Nissan GTR. One of my favorite life accomplishments is to tell people I've driven a Nissan GTR. I mean, there's a whole office full of people downstairs who have driven a whole bunch of cars. They're so cool. I'm a hobbit compared to them. They're racing Gandalfs. I'm a goddarn Frodo Baggins. No, I'm Merry. I'm Pippin. I'm one of those jerk hobbits compared to the humans downstairs who toil tirelessly every day to describe cars whose drivers' seats they have sat in. Always go diagonal at the end. Yeah, I got first place. The race was a little longer than I thought it was going to be. I wanted to kind of chill you guys down with a slightly shorter race. Would it be ethical to do a hot lap on this next round? Seeing as I blew away the competition. I want you to see the... Oh, Misa done da level up. Welcome to Class 13. Your rewards are a player banner design 28, GT Group 2 Super Sprint accolade. This should let me do the voiceover announcements for this. That was the whole circuit, huh? I'm going to go ahead and not hot lap the next one I do. Because I guess you all didn't get to see any of the opponents. I'm going to try this mobile GT challenge. Now I'm going to show you. You know what? I got bone handled on this race last time I played it, so this is going to be good. I'm going to get my... It has trouble loading in the car, because that's not my Mustang. That's the Pontiac. Give me that. Give me that. Give me that Mustang. Come on. Yeah, there it is. It's my big boy car. We're going to put all four on the floor. And by the floor, I mean tarmac, and by four, I mean my big boy tires. These chunky rubber stakes just wrapped around my wheel rods. Now this game, prior to starting this, I tried my best to memorize the press release. So let's see if I can. I'm going to not do the hot lap for qualification because I want to put myself at a disadvantage. I want you to see me fight my way in. I'm trying to do the track. This is the San Francisco Street Track, which is one of the 13 tracks across 12 cities. What are the other 12 tracks? There's China. I think there's a Zhejiang circuit, and there's a Shanghai street track as depicted in the title. There's Okutama has 2 tracks. I think it has a point-to-point, and it also has a circuit. Oh my God. This is as close as you can get to NASCAR delivered to you by British people in the year 2019. I am grid, more like gridlock, am I right? Thing about one of these cars, American Muscle. We got 4 gears here, and each one of them is deeply, richly, texturally meaningful. Even first gear does something on an old baby Mustang. Is that what you call a slingshot? It's weird to hear the announcer, because I'm pretty sure the announcer's a British man pretending to be an American. I'm going to tell you what, I used to own, and you've heard me mention this before, a Ford Crown Victoria Police Interceptor, which is basically a Mustang. I hope nobody thinks I'm joking when I say it's basically a Mustang. It is basically a Mustang. Has a V8 engine, 4.6 liters. I drank 4.6 liters the other day, talking about Coke Zero while watching that Joker movie. Oh, that abutment hecked me. What's the point of an abutment if not to heck a driver? So I'm trying to get one of these guys mad, because there's this Nemesis System, which I'm sure a lot of people have fun pronouncing. The Nemesis System, where you get a driver mad at you. Okay, I'm just going to try to win. Sorry. A lack of judgment for a split second, and they're going into the scenery. Why is it that this British man pretending to be American is only watching me? What kind of Truman show is this, am I right? Did he just call me ridiculous? Only my mom is allowed to call me ridiculous. There's a collision. Okay, he was not talking about me, because I didn't touch nobody. I'm driving like what if Grandma had ice cream in the trunk and had to get home to watch her stories, is kind of how I'm driving. Which is too fast and not well. I can't believe I'm going to not win this. If I had a hot lap, that I'd have won. As in life, where you start corresponds quite acutely to where you wind up. And vice versa. Is that the San Francisco Ferry Building? That's Tinkerbell's favorite building in San Francisco. Gotta go ahead. Oh, get the hood of the car off. I hope my hood decapitated that butthole behind me. Oh, I earned $2,500. My teammates earned $2,500. $838 to repair the car. They take the repairs of the car out of the cost at the end. I like that. I like that slow motion it kicks into on the finish line sequence. Try to do that again. What are the other tracks? What were the tracks that I mentioned? San Francisco street track, Zhejiang circuit, Shanghai street track. And then Okutama has the circuit and the point-to-point. How many tracks is that? That's 6? 5? We'll continue. Let's keep going. There's a Barcelona street track. I know that. And there's a Cuba, a Havana street track, which we just did, which is really nice. And then there's Australia, Sydney Motorsport Park, because one of the hosts is Australian. I remember that. And there's Malaysia. There's Sepang. And then there's 2 UK ones. There's Silverstone. I don't know what the other one is. And I know there's Crescent Valley in the US, which we can take a look at. Listen to the Australian lady talk. We're about to see how this all plays out, so don't go anywhere. Oh, and there's also Indianapolis. They do an Indianapolis circuit, which I find really funny. I like this flyby of the grid. These harsh, bloomy HDR lightings here are going to heck me in the face for this first lap.
Big race tonight. Push for a decent position.
Oh my lord! These individuals piloting vehicles are quite exuberant. Put somebody behind the wheel and they transform. Oh, I like how it's getting cozy in here. It's cozy. This is good footy, right? This is good television. Let me show you some better television. I've obtained a Nemesis and Cristobal Munoz. Oh yeah. Everybody get yourselves to the junkyard. Alright. Some Ty there is about to get passed as well. Nick Whittle. I see him a lot. One thing I believe the game boasts something like 200 distinct driver personalities. DPs, as we say. And you'll see their names and you can they all drive in specific ways. So you know who's a bit of a jerk and you know who's a bit of a rhubarb rubber. You know what we say, rubbing rhubarb is racing. Couldn't tell for the longest time if my coach was French or German. Usually, I couldn't tell, not because I have no ear for accents, it was because I tend to ignore him. Oh, he's telling me not to hassle my teammate. You want me not to hassle my teammate, give me a goddarn raise. Actually, don't do that. Raises are for narcs. You know what's not for narcs, though, is raisins. You're not allowed to give a dog raisins. Did you know that? As soon as I learned that, I was like, man, I kind of want some raisins. Because I now have a dog. In case you didn't know. I'll tell you what. When I lived in the San Francisco Bay Area and I drove my big old police car up and down the highway, down and up and down 580, just every other way. Every which way but loose, and sometimes even loose as well. I used to think it would be cool to have a little critter in there. Could not afford a critter. I mean, I could have. I don't feel I could have given him the best possible life. Now I found myself at a stage where it's possible to make the sacrifices necessary to invite a tiny little weird critter to yip helplessly in my house, express excitement upon my arrival back home. Sophia LaBelle. I want to put on my YouTuber voice. Couldn't they have found a guy to drive that car? That's my joke about YouTubers. The sorts of guys who don't like Star Wars Episode 7. Because it's a girl. Oh, she became my nemesis. Despite my circumventing her attempts at winning. Crikey! Sophia LaBelle becomes a goddarn jerk when nemesisized. She's my nemesis-sister. And I believe with that gear shift executed at with a level of, will not say perfection, competence, as in the bleakest and brightest moments in life. Competence has to suffice for perfection. I believe I have sealed the race. All in the space of one gear shift. 0.8 seconds. See, this is where I was talking earlier about all 4 of these gears being important. And then I was not using the gear I should have used. I should have popped it down in the first gear. Rubbing is racing, as we used to say where I'm from. And I'm rubbing because I'm also racing. I must be made of rubber. Again, I like this extreme slow-mo that it goes into on the finish line. How long does this continue? Let's see. Reminds me of Dread. Everybody loved that movie Dread, right? Slow-mo. Only just hit the grid, but it's making big waves, etc. Let's go ahead and see what other sorts of weird grotesquerie and trouble we can get up to. Ow, heck. Playing this game with my Xbox One Elite controller. I got my rear paddles on. I had it on 3 paddles so I could have the parking brake on 1. The E-brake, as pros call it. I call it a parking brake, a P-brake. I think drivers like to call it an E-brake and not a P-brake because the phrase P-brake just reminds them that they're confined in a small space, far and distant away from the road trip dreams of childhood. Those memories where a P-brake was a thing that you could beg daddy for, you know? You know what I'm saying. Now, F1 driver Fernando Alonso, Spain's own child, was a consultant on this game. And Codemasters also produced the F1 games. They would be remiss, however, to not capitalize on this opportunity to use their expertise in crafting F1 games to put a little tiny spice, a shake of that F1 Tabasco bottle here into their grid game. Now, I'm not very good at driving these F1 cars, despite having gone to high school in Indianapolis, Indiana. They do not hand you an F1 car when you graduate from high school. They handed me a diploma just like they hand everybody else a diploma. So that doesn't necessarily make me good at this. Just like owning a Notre Dame jacket doesn't mean necessarily that I can throw a perfect spiral. I can throw a perfect spiral, though only in a vacuum. I don't know what I'm talking about. These cars truly put me into a moment of weakness. Crikey, I'm playing Super Mario Kart and they're just goddamn Gran Turismo. I'm in 16th place. I haven't been in 16th place in this game for pretty much my entire experience with it. Wait, can we rewind? Okay, that rewind doesn't actually help. There you go. That was the rewind feature. Normally I don't use those in these games because it feels like a symbol of weakness. And I am weak. However, I'm not going to admit it by pressing a button. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to confess my weakness in actions, moments, individual mistakes, bouts of unintentional childishness perpetrated in supermarkets and or in front of McDonald's. My weakness will kill me. It will not make me enjoy a video game. You know what I mean?
They won't be happy with that.
God, Louis Andre is my nemesis now. I wouldn't be surprised if he punches me in the head at the old Wiener's Circle at the end here. Moved up into 11th place. Not bad for a guy who normally steers clear. That was a cow joke of F1 games. Not the biggest aficionado of F1 games. Wish there were more NASCAR games, to be honest. Criko. So as you can just see, just looking at this, all I'm striving to give you here today, if I've given you loquaciousness of an unnecessary verbosity, I apologize. Yet,
Let's push through now.
not without the disclaimer that I am who I am, etc.
Listen up, let's rein it in. You push them over the edge here.
What I strive to give you here is just some good old 60 FPS footy. And I just have to reiterate that it is 60 FPS. It truly is. I counted every goddarn frame myself. And you know what? I do not apologize. I will not apologize for who I am. I'm a guy who loves 60 FPS. Actually, you know what? If I did something seriously, considerably wrong, I would apologize for who I am. If who I am was something that wrong. I did most of that race in 5th gear, and you want to know why? Terror. It's terror of failing. Terror of failing for a goddarn audience. I would have done better at home. And that's not at all a weakness for me. I'm admitting that because of my strength. There's that famous, I'm 29 XP away from a level up. Give me that next one. We're going to do Havana. I'm not like home. This is going to be a good race. 3 laps, broad daylight. The daylight is wide, my friend.
And we're heading into the final round now.
TFR. The Follywood Reporter. Here we go. Not going to do a hot lap. We're not doing a hot lap.
To win, they are going to have to leave nothing on the table.
Not going to leave. They told us to not leave anything on the table. Got it.
Okay, hold on. Sorry. It looks like things are about to...
I like hearing the announcer cut her off. Okay, hold on. Sorry. I started in 10th. And I'm going to finish in 10th. So the fear, there's a Top Gear episode where Clarkson, I'm on last name terms with that guy. I got issues with Clarkson, but who doesn't, right? Where Clarkson races Laguna Seca in a car. It does a lap at Laguna Seca. It does a couple of laps, probably. It's TV, whatever. Criko! We're going to rewind. Again, I'm just letting you see how neat the feature looks. It looks neat, doesn't it? It looks neat. Where Clarkson does a lap at Laguna Seca. And then I rewound it because I wanted to do better to impress you. I know I'm not impressing the hardcore YouTubers who want me to go into cockpit mode. Anyway, Clarkson does a lap at Laguna Seca in real life. Then he does a lap at Laguna Seca in Gran Turismo. Or as he calls it, the computer game. Oh my crike. Oh my shnikes.
One too many times.
Aaron O'Sullivan is my nemesis. Is he from Boston? I was going to pronounce Boston in a stereotypical Boston accent, then I decided to use just my regular accent. So that's why the slight hesitation there. Again, staying in 4th gear because I'm afraid. Clarkson remarks into that the terror of the real life lap of Laguna Seca destroyed his time compared to his lap on the computer game. So, referred repeatedly to Gran Turismo as the computer game. I'm like thinking of a world where there's just one computer game and it's Gran Turismo. Shout me out in the comments if, for you, there is just one computer game that is the computer game. Ooh, we did a little bit of a nice turn there. It's Ultra Racing Line combo. As I read the accolade, as it showed up on the screen, I twisted my hat sideways. No, we're going to do this right, because my mom is watching. You know what it's like recording yourself playing a racing video game? First of all, it's like this TV, the HDR is way too bright and I can't see. I try to not make that excuse a lot. It's like driving with your mom in the car. Does everybody remember the first time your mom or your dad wasn't in the car and you're like, oh, driving's pretty easy? Oh, is the prophecy going to fulfill itself? See, I saw that name, Ingun Poulsen, and I thought it said Joaquin Phoenix. Because that's real far away.
We're on the last lap. Let's make up some...
Man, I'm his nemesis now. We're gonna take a ride in a different kind of vehicle at the end of this race. He's got a passenger's side ticket for my fist. I'm sorry, I'm trying to read all this information on the screen, and I'm also trying to think of facts about dirt that I read in its press release that I promised to recite facts from, then I'm just ham boning myself. So, you know, even if I'm not the world's most consummate professional here at this particular game, I'm going to tell you something. I like it. It's therapeutic for me. Again, just the act of shifting gears just is pure raw entertainment for me. Just the simple act of shifting gears. It's as fun for me as licking an ice cube is for my little doggy. Goddarn guy loves licking ice cubes. And there's no parking brake on a Formula One car, so that's why you can't turn sideways as easily. Failed to deliver entertainment once again. But you know what? No matter what, even if you lose, you get stuff. Give me that XP. We're gonna level up. Ooh, level 14. What do I get for level 14? Show him what he's won. Custom 10, Tuner 10, I got Mikito Tanaka. Alright. I think we've got time for another race. I'm probably not on the podium here. Again, some would say no frills, this game. I would say no nonsense. No nonsense. It just so happens that nonsense and frills occasionally overlap. So as I was saying, I may not be the world's greatest professional at this game. However, I know at the very least enough about myself to tell you, my friend, that I'm gonna unlock all of these. At the very least, I'm gonna get a little green flag by it. Let's kill this one here. I'm gonna get in my Subaru WRX STI. You are able to purchase a Subaru WRX STI in this very first circuit with the money you were given at the start of the game. So the 0 to WRX rating for this racing game is, it takes about 4 seconds to buy a car when you hold the button down to buy it on the menu. So as quickly as the loading times plus about 4 seconds. Gonna skip the hot lap, I'm sorry. I really could benefit from the hot lap here. Let's listen to him cut her off. He's gonna go, oh, it looks like they're about to start. Listen.
All right, we'll get back to that shortly because it's time to get started.
I love it. He's got like 800 ways to cut her off. What a mansplainer. I'm gonna race this like my brother would, which is to say conservatively. Because the off-track penalty here, my big brother, by the way, for the record, the off-track penalty here can just boot you in the skull. Like last time, I was playing this on hard difficulty, and I finished the race in first. However, my tire had touched a little bit too much grass for the race stewards, who are a bunch of narcs. And it kicked me all the way down to 16th place. Ooh. Touched grass. I touched grass, however, not in an advantageous manner. So what the game told me, what those race stewards would have me understand, is that life would be better if I raced like a scrub. Overall, people would like me more if I didn't gun for the finish line so competitively as to mow a little bit of lawn on accident.
You're keeping up with the pace.
Keeping up with the pace, he tells me. I don't keep up with the pace, I set the pace. That's not true. Any arrogance or cockiness you detect in my commentary style here is purely an affectation. I possess no confidence whatsoever in any regard in my entire life, much less my ability to race a race car, much as I did own a Ford Crown Victoria Police Interceptor. There's a little bit of debris flying in the air. Rubbin is racing and debris is... I couldn't think of a word. Oh, Sergio Alvarez is my opponent now. Jan Magnusson is also, I'm going to make you my nemesis too. Zlata Ivanov, you're going to be my punk. I'm going to punk you into the oblivion of a carcass. Just grinding my gear up on 4th there a little bit. One thing I found for this is, if you're playing on the Elite controller, you want to keep it not on hair triggers. Keep that lead intact. It's like he's telling me don't cause an accident. You ever make an honest mistake and then somebody tells you don't do that again? And you're like, it's a mistake. You're just telling me to not let an accident happen? Remember the first time you drove with your mom not in the car? Shout me out in the comments if you remember that. I loved my Crown Victoria Police Interceptor. I used to drive it at high speeds and loudly. Yeah, again, driving like my big brother. Anyway, again, I keep... Racing games make it difficult to finish a thought. Because, again, the hot lights. Rational decisions beneath hot lights come not as freely as the sweat. If you're gonna play a racing game with any modicum of realism to it, for God's green sake, manual transmission. Even if you lose, even if you suck, you gotta put it in manual. And it took me, I remember I had this guy in my college dorm. He was my dorm roommate who thought video games were for babies and old people and children and weirdos and vegetarians. However, Gran Turismo blew his mind so hard he became an addict. He played my PlayStation Gran Turismo. We bonded. I wore race car shirts. He thought even in 1999 I was doing so derisively, as people in my YouTube comments think I'm doing now in 2019. No, I genuinely like NASCAR. Dale Earnhardt, guy was a goddamn hero to me. I could never be a NASCAR driver because I don't have, my vision's not good enough. Enough of that though. Here's Indianapolis, my hometown. I meant to end here today, so this is good. I remember John Michael Strange, my roommate, loving that Gran Turismo, and we bonded over it a little bit. We never became friends, though we did bond over Gran Turismo. And I remember him often uttering racing platitudes like rubbing is racing. And me being like, everybody knows rubbing is racing. You ain't goddamn Nostradamus to say rubbing is racing. He said it in that important way that a 19-year-old would. 19-year-old who looked about 35, he was able to buy beer without a fake ID.
Surprised if they're gunning for you now.
Meanwhile, I can't sit down at a table where somebody ordered a glass of wine without showing my ID, and I'm 40. Crikey. These guys need to grandma down and little brother up, you know what I mean? So he used to say these racing platitudes. He used to always be like, it's gotta be manual transmission, man. That's not his actual accent. Gotta be manual transmission, man. Like, he'd be like that. And I'd be like, alright, dude. What, you chump? I'm sorry, Dad, I rewinded. If this game had, if I were born in like 1994. Oh my God! Same to think, make a mistake once, make a mistake twice. I need this guy to get off of my shoes. There we go. You learn a lot about the, not even just moment to moment, just the synapse to synapse element of driving. So it used to be like, it's got to be manual transmission, man. And it's like, yeah, okay. I saw a bumper sticker the other day that was like, a real man drives manual transmission. I wish I'd taken a picture of it because I want to do a video that's just like, oh, a real man is thus mindful of his limitations at all times and is able to adjust his expectations accordingly, as though with the press of a button, the flip of a paddle, or the adjustment of a stick. A real man is constantly aware of what he is able to do, mindful of his surroundings, mindful of what is required of him. Is that what you're saying about a real man? I think what John Strange meant was that a real man was able to deal with 3 pedals and it was harder. Some people will say something like manual transmission's more fuel efficient. It's like, yeah, sure. All I like it for is it gives you the friction.
Give it everything.
I'm in 15th goddamn place in my hometown of Indianapolis, Indiana. I just blew some chunks off the back of that car. Sorry for the damage that I caused you. Sorry for the disappointment, too. Welcome back to the Goblin Bunker. Finishing off a little round of grid. No nonsense racing game, 4K, 60 FPS, beautiful on my Xbox One. Probably beautiful on your PlayStation. More beautiful on a controller with paddles, for a fact, because you want those gear shifts on the paddles. Left to shift down, right to shift up. I've inched into 14th here. Should have done a hot lap. Didn't even go diagonal on the ending because of the shame. You earn less money second time around. If only they told me about that when I made my second video game. Oh my god, I accidentally pressed the replay button. We ain't doing that.
Kristen, tell me what's gonna happen.
Yeah, Alex, it's been a heated competition with some real...
Actually, let's do it again. Who cares? I dropped my controller because I was sipping some coffee because I was going to say I was born stupid. I was going to talk about how stupid I was when I was born, and
Well, we're about to see how this all
I ended up accidentally dropping the controller and I pressed the B button, which is redo the race. I'm not going to just not get those rewards. Could have done a hot lap, could have done a hot lap. Hot laps for your hot lips. Shout me out in the comments if you're a fan of the films of Robert Altman. Speaking of Robert Altman. No, okay, you know what? No, I had like 16 thoughts queued up there. I feel like that would have negatively / adversely affected my performance in this race. I'm trying to go for serious right now. Oh! I think no chunk of my brain comprehends the concept of going for serious as regards the infantile job task of talking whilst playing a video game for the entertainment of invisible individuals. Shout me out in the comments if you god darn hear me. Shout me out in the comments if you be no phantom.
Lap 2. We are chasing the pack.
Shout me out in the comments if you have love in your heart. If not for me, please not for me. Direct it elsewhere, then for someone else. Finally, if naught else applies, shout me out in the comments. For God's green sake, if you are alive. 60 frames per second, 4K HDR. Masters of Code have delivered another masterful code. Makers of micro machines.
I think you have to be careful now. You might have pushed them too far.
Next time you need an American for your race announcer, Codemasters, call me. You can still pay this guy. I'll do it for free. And you can just pay and you can put his name in the credits. I'll do it though.
Final lap. Let's get out of here.
Oh, look at that view of the old celebrity boxes. That's where David Letterman sits during the race. I went right off the track again because I'm a jackweed and I'm a drag hound. Because I should be racing at night on dirt is where I should be racing. I should be racing at night while people eat elephant ears and funnel cakes and fried dough in the crowd, cotton candy, and they yell about clowns. That's where I should be racing. I don't belong on anything whose steering wheel is not a vestigial organ. I don't belong driving any vehicle that has a stick of any kind on it. All I'm suited for is one of those rocket cars, and even then only because it might blow up and harm the driver who elsewise would be useful to society. Strapped me in like a god-darn space chimp. Can't believe I did not get into the top 3. I'm the biggest monster in the god-darn arena. I should be driving a monster truck. I should be flipping a monster truck just in circles. Not driving a beautiful Subaru WRX STI. You know what, though? I'm going to tell you the absolute truth is that I had a real good time just now. Again, it's therapeutic. I can reference my dog again. My dog loved watching me play this game yesterday. He sat there, he stood at attention. We're driving the Datsun 240Z. I said we were going to stop. Guess what? That's what these games are all about. They give you that big old worksheet. I'm not going to drive anything I haven't driven already, unfortunately. They give you that big old worksheet of playlists. It is conducive to just getting the guy to thinking, yeah, I'll tick off another one of these. Why not? Again, we will not be doing a hot lap because I want it to look more competitive.
We are in San Francisco for the grid.
I feel like every time I do a hot lap, I get up in the front.
What are your thoughts?
And I feel like it would be nicer to not be up in front. This track is a real sight to behold in the 4K HDR. That rain on the screen, it's ostentatious and it's audacious.
Well, I'm sure we're in for a great race today.
It's a bit of a over the top effect, but I still love it. This Datsun is a good car.
Looks like you're in for a tougher race in the wet. Don't
It's a real rescue dog of a car that I've got going on here. Oh my god. These guys are Mario Karting out over here. What would be interesting is if the Nemesis system, persisted? A persistent Nemesis system? Where, the more times I Nemesisize someone, like the angrier they are in subsequent races. God, am I ever going to get into goddamn 5th gear here, or what? Is that the San Francisco Ferry Building? That's Tinkerbell's favorite building in San Francisco. Don't you knock me into no wall. Look at that sun glaring against the rain-slick asphalt. The HDR is just kind of punching a mag light right through the front of my goddamn head. Clean out the back of my skull. The sofa cushion's irradiated.
They won't be happy with that.
Oh, I Nemesisized someone by just being a better driver than him. Am I actually going to win? This jerk hugger up here doesn't know what he's doing. You're going to have to get taken down. We're going to have to direct this race through San Francisco Chinatown because you were going down. Zlata Ivanov. Oh, you just got race rubbed. My skin must be made of natural latex because I am rubbing.
Listen up, let's rein it in. You push them over the edge.
Did he say rein it in? R-A-I-N? Can you get this thing to the goddamn red line? This thing gets to the red line like my grandmother getting to Red Lobster. Which is slow, yet with excitement. My grandmother's dead, I'm sorry. And I'm not really sure she was a fan of Red Lobster. She was an East Coaster. She hailed from lands with much pride regarding their crab cakes. She would never submit to commoditized seafood. That glare of the sun on the road makes it hard to see. Also, my grandmother never really left the house. She had a bunch of pugs that she acquired late in life. I was thinking of her recently. Because I acquired a I've never had a dog of my own until just this weekend. And I thought, I'm 40 years old. I have chronic migraines. I'm sick all the time because of my chronic condition. I'm sorry, that was a good turn. Seems like talking about my chronic condition is the key. Oh, sideways. Face the camera, little buddy. My Datsun's name is Little Buddy. I'm gonna do one more race because I just like racing. I'm sorry. So yeah, I acquired a dog. I thought, when else are you gonna do this? Right? Waited long enough. So I have a beautiful little 5-month-old cream-colored Pomeranian puppy. He doesn't have a name yet. Thinking I might want to call him Captain. Is that good? A lot of unethical names to give animals. The owner suggested naming him Bear.
And we're heading into the final round now.
And I'm like, no, you don't name a dog after another animal. Again, beautiful looking track. Look at that HDR. Look at that. Even if you're not seeing this recording is not in HDR, so you can't really tell. Though you can imagine what it would be like, right?
Well, we're about to see how this all plays out.
We're about to see how this all plays out. These announcers are like real baseball card collectors.
On the end of the radio if you need info.
He had the exact tone of voice that like a kid had when he like picks up like a Roberto Clemente baseball card in like
Maybe stay out of the
1988, and he's like, he has a 360 batting average. It's like, oh, okay. There's this kid on the military base where we lived who just delivered matter-of-fact baseball statistics in this little happy puppy tone of voice. Look at these beautiful graphics. I mean, come on. You can't tell me not to play this game. Technically getting paid to do this, though I will admit, playing it alone in the dark is a lot better. I don't talk when I do that. I sit there in silence.
I think you've hit them one too many times.
Stone cold silence I usually play my video games. Let not my demeanor on these streams and videos fool you. I'm a different person altogether when I play video games. Mainly I'm the person I know,
Just stay out of their way.
not the person you know. You know what I mean? I mean that as no slight against neither you nor me. I'm just saying. Let's go and shift this down. You need to play manual transmission or you won't ever learn how a car works. Which you need to know because of the detachment a game like this gives you. This is not the same as real driving. This game gives you detachment. Presents you an opportunity to be outside the car, be free of consequences. You're going to have a much better time if you put it into manual transmission. See, like, I don't want to be able to... I want to control how fast I'm able to go in that turn. Let that fourth gear really squeeze up. I'm driving like a scrub.
Last lap, so hold the lead through to the end now.
Hold the lead until the end. Is that what you suggest, Coach? Real driving coaches are gonna say a whole lot more than just hold the lead or whatever. For a neat summary of what the non-driving members of a race perform in aid of the person actually stepping on the gas pedal. Play Codemasters on Dirt Rally 2.0. I've been playing a fair deal of. They sent me that game. Oh, there we go. Play that and you'll hear your co-driver reading you pace notes. If you don't know what pace notes are, you can go down a real rabbit hole on those. I mean, Oh, did I win? Oh, I didn't think I was going to win. Oh, well. I turned a couple of assists on, I'm not going to lie. If you're skipping to the end of this video, yeah, I turned a couple assists on right before. Never play with those turned on. I guess it was braking me real hard on the turns, and that was making it harder for me to be myself. Whatever. Give baby his candy. Yeah, give baby his candy, please. 253 XP for bravery. Level 16. The sweet 16. Well, thanks a lot for leveling me up, Grid. And thanks a lot for watching, audience members of a sort. Whoever you are. If you watched all of this, you're my friend. And keep it tuned to Kotaku.com for even more video games and stuff. All you need to know about anything. Delivered directly into your web browser, courtesy of Kotaku.com. Kotaku.com. It's in the game. I was born stupid, however, I will not die hungry. Video games forever. Kotaku.com. Actually, I'm gonna play one more of these.